Welcome to the Bang the Drum podcast, part Deux. Tip of the cap, Hot
Yes.
Shots,
2.
Charlie Sheen,
We made it.
part Deux. You ever watch Hot Shots part 2?
I
Part
have.
Deux?
I didn't like it, and there's one as one.
It's Topper Harley, dude. You got to like it. Here we are. Excited to be here today. We got a good show for you. I hope you guys enjoyed episode 1. Now we're going to go into commercial phase because we're a little different now. Like, share, subscribe on YouTube. We're on Spotify. We'll probably go to Apple and all that kind of stuff. We got through a lot of the tech details. Hope you like the intros and everything else. Getting some really good feedback. As we get going here, we're going to shoot the breeze. Going to talk a little cigars, talk a little beer. Before I share the beer and cigar, we got an announcement to make. I didn't even tell you. I didn't tell you. You have no idea. What are you saying yes for? You don't even know what I'm going to say.
Doesn't even
You get
matter.
in trouble. You say yes and you don't know what anybody's asking.
I know exactly what you're going to say.
What?
I have no idea.
Exactly. We've agreed. We're getting Bengals tattoos if they win the Super Bowl. New ones.
I've already got one.
You got
but
one.
I'll get a new one.
And I told my daughter.
Told you I knew.
I told my daughter on the way to school today. Not me on the school. Her on the way to school. Before I wait first, I dropped them off at school today. Dropped her off. My niece is there. Kids everywhere. I see my niece walk up. I roll down the window. I love you. Her name and my daughter's name. They're both like, so they're not happy with you. But before
Of course they're
that,
not.
I love it though. I said I love them so much. I had to let them know. You know, the whole school knows now. So the good thing is, I told her. I said, should we get matching tattoos? That's a little weird. What do you think? She goes, you're so stupid. She says worse about you, as you know. But here we are. If you got any ideas, we're not gonna get like
Absolutely.
not on our head or anything like that. Oh, man. I'd be happy to get a tattoo if they win the Super Bowl. You?
Oh, sure. I'll probably
get
tattoo my face if they win the Super Bowl.
Man,
it might make it look better.
Your wife would love that. There's
Oh,
a lot
sure.
of people would think more if you cover that face up. Here we go. All right, here we go. You did say it. Hey, we're going to give a couple plugs today. What do you think of
Let's
that?
do
Business
that.
plugs.
Yes.
I'm going to butcher this one. If you like pro wrestling, and it's for a Karen Ballingy Foundation too, which is a charitable foundation. Manchester, Ohio. I'm going to go wrestling voice here. Let me get the dates here because I already forgot it. Sponsored. The promotion is called Spot Monkey Promotions. You can find them on Facebook. Friday, April 11th. This is pretty cool. Typhoon, Tugboat, Shockmaster is what the guy went through. Giant dude. He's going the week before. He's getting inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. Then he's coming to Manchester.
Wow.
That's some lucky timing.
That is some lucky
Spot
timing.
Monkey got lucky on that one.
That's worth at least $10,000 worth of sponsorship.
That's right. Let's go. Let's do it. You owe us, Spot Monkey. And if you're looking for a car, new car or used, Jeep or Ford, come to Mount Orab, Ohio. They're there for you. Go check them out. The Ford dealership. Jeep. My cousin works there, and his name's up on the billboard. He's salesman of the month, like every month. Maybe they only got one employee. I always wondered about that. That might be the answer.
I know the guy, so
yeah. I bought my Jeep from him. So the funny thing is, they put him up on the billboard, and I told Sadie, I said, my daughter didn't mean to use her name on there, but here we go. I said it'd be cool if he could read and he knows he's getting that kind of recognition. It's a shame. And
yeah.
he thought that's funny too. So you're looking for it. Reach out to him. Chris is his name. And if you're not family, he'll give you a deal. If you are family, he gives you the family surcharge. Just part of the deal.
Yeah, you get like $10 off or something.
Yeah, it doesn't do very good for family. But otherwise,
it ain't buy one, get one free.
It is not. So here we go. So here we're drinking today. I changed it up a little bit, unlike my compadre there. Garage beer. The great
same
garage
old
beer.
Again, we won't get into why I'm drinking Ultra. Made that pretty clear last. If you listen to the last episode.
He's a softie. So and then I got a Padron cigar, a great one. So smoking that today.
If you don't know, go listen to the last episode.
That's right. Listen to them all. Spotify, Bang the Drum Podcast, YouTube, like, subscribe, all that other junk. So here we go. Ohio weather. Let's start there. What's the deal, dude? It's spring.
Sucks.
What's worse right now, the Reds, the weatherman, or the weather itself?
Actually, probably the tree trimmers that just left, but that was pretty bad.
AEP. So we're a little delayed here.
We're delayed, because they were cutting down half the damn force.
Yeah.
So,
but
probably the weather, I would say. I mean, the Reds are 1-2, so.
And they should have won the first game. The bullpen, I mean, shoulda, coulda, woulda. People are giving Franco a hard time, but I mean, come on.
It's the beginning. He'll learn it.
He is.
He's
figuring stuff out.
He won't go back to the well too much.
No, he's been around, and he's the master motivator. I'm a big fan, so they'll turn that around. So we're going to talk about a few things today. We might do like a mock draft simulator here to start that and talk about what that looks like. We're going to dig into some issues here. I started, everybody's banging on the defense, understandably so. As we look at the offense, we'll start. I don't think we even talk about the guard issue because we hammered on that before. It's obvious. They came out, I guess, within the last day or so, said they're not going to address the
They're
guard.
not going to do anything.
It doesn't make any sense to me that you're a championship aspiring team and you leave that hole there. Maybe they think some guys are going to get cut, bring in some few veterans, but that's not a wise decision in my opinion. So now you're going to have to draft one. I guess you're going to have to draft one in the draft, select one in the draft. We'll see. We'll talk about that another time. We've hit on the guards, so is everybody else and their brothers. So as you look at the offense, though, forget that. Let's say Karras is fine. Let's say the two tackles are healthy, Mims and Orlando Brown, and they're healthy. You know, I'll give my 2 cents first and then turn it to you. I've done all the talking here, but I think, you know, running back depth is an issue. I love Chase Brown. Now, I was thinking about like Emmitt Smith for some reason. He, you know, Emmett, you know, oh, he had their great offensive line and all that, but they were 0-2 the year he held out and they went on a run. He knew how to set up blocks. He knew how to get, you know, better than Barry Sanders. And I think we both, in terms of an enjoyment factor, I'd watch Barry Sanders, who the Genty, we're going to talk about him. Comparison, I would watch Barry Sanders any day of the week, all day, right? But I think Emmett was a better back because if you needed 2 yards, you're getting it. And it didn't matter who the line was.
He read his blocks away.
He's so good.
That offensive line was great too.
Well, they were, but when they were banged up or whatever, he still did.
Oh yeah.
And Chase Brown is not like him, but he's just going to fly through there. And I like it personally, but they need another back that's a heavier setback, can get that short yardage. What are your thoughts on the running back situation depth wise?
Depth wise, it's not great. P. Ryan will do what he needs to do. Not sure if he'll get the exact same playing time and the snaps they did before, but with what they have right now on you know the depth chart, it's not there. Mm-hmm. But 1 and 2, I mean, really, I mean, you figure he's probably gonna get what 70% of snaps, probably, if not 8. Yeah, if not 80%.
If he can hold the load.
Yeah,
he's banged up a little bit.
Plus, he's older, so why not just give it to him? And he did in college.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's all he did was run in college. So, nah. Not very good, but there's going to be some backs, third and fourth round. Yeah. I wouldn't do it before that, but there's some in the third one. I've been doing this simulator. I'm like, man, it's tempting. It is really tempting. But they put themselves in this situation because they didn't go out and get help in free agency. So now they have to do it in a draft, or they could have just picked best player available.
Yep.
And they didn't help themselves.
I certainly, in their situation, a lot of team situation, I would not take a running back in the first round. But Genty,
yes.
Yeah, you can't.
You can.
You
can talk yourself into that
absolutely.
One pretty quick.
Even with the Bengals, honestly.
Yes.
I don't think he'll be there. I really don't.
It's
tricky, you know. The running back position was devalued and all that is what they like to say, but then you get into, you know, Saquon's a rare beast. I always think of him in that backwards jump. One of the most incredible plays I've ever seen in my life when he jumped backwards over a guy, right? So he was a difference maker, and he wasn't the only one. But you think about the guy I'd like to, you know, Travion Henderson, I think he's underrated in what you see.
I do too.
I'm going to go on a brief rant. I'll be brief. Oh, you know, he's jumping up and down boards. No, he's not. Nobody's jumping down any board. And no media member knows that if it is. Uh-huh. And if a scout or GM's telling them that, guess what? It's not true. Nobody knows what the boards are other than the people inside the room. I don't care if it's the Bengals beat, the Patriots, it doesn't matter. Nobody knows. I don't care who the most plugged in guy is right now. They don't know. Nobody's going up and down unless there's some sort of character issue. And even then, you don't really know because teams might do. So ignore the silly season nonsense and all that kind of stuff. But for me, you know, the Judkins kid from Ohio State. I love Henderson, but I think he's very similar to Chase, right? Probably a little more explosive in terms of lateral movement. Straight ahead speed, they're probably the same, but his agility, I mean, you couldn't go wrong if you picked him. But Judkins in short yardage, where he can catch the ball, he can block. Third round, if he's there, he probably won't be, but that wouldn't be a bad pick. Your thoughts? And then, you know, the Arizona kid, I don't know what to think about him, right? Because, you know, as we've talked about, I think all of the athletic measurements matter, right? They matter, but they should only be tight. You should be watching who they play. You know, he played pretty big teams, and they were all focused on him. Cam Scatterbo is, as he like to say, some people call him Scatterbro. We're going to call him Scatterbro for now, especially. Like, they picked him in the third round. I'm for it, right? He's a football player.
Yeah. I lost some money because of him. So.
Yeah, you're not the only one. That guy could he's a player, dude. Like in short yardage, and there's a play, and I don't know if we'll have time. We're going to do some mock drafts. I'm going to write some for a newspaper here local, and we'll talk about that, a real mock draft, and then we'll cover it. I'll share it and all that kind of stuff. But there's a play where he's running around to the end zone, and they both had the angle on it, and he just knows how to get low and dip his shoulder and go underneath. That you can't teach. There's some guys that know how to do that in any sport. That body leverage. I think he's a heck of a player. And everybody's excited, me too, about T and Chase coming back. But as you think about that, I think there's still holes in the receiver. If you throw Gesicki in there as a slot receiver, which maybe he is, and then there's holes at tight end. But let's just look at the receivers. Do you think there's a shot they draft on this year? I do.
I'm going to say no. The reason why I say no, if they had 7 picks, I think they do. If they would have did better in free agency, yes, that leaves draft open for best available player. You still got Jones. You still got players. You got Jackson. That he's mainly been on practice squad. They like him. I don't think they will. Not with just 6 picks. And now, if they trade down and they get 7 or 8 picks, yes, I absolutely think they will. They'll draft a receiver.
Yeah, I don't mind Yoshi at all.
No,
but I think he is what he is at this point.
he is.
Me and you and I and everyone else thought there was some upside there, and he's been a fine player. I just think he
For
is
where they
what
got
he is.
him,
Absolutely, he is what he is. A guy I like, and I'll get into sleeper some other time. That Ty Felton from Maryland, he's way down on the board on everybody. And he's limited. He can only do this, but what he can only do is something they don't have, right? Look at the Chiefs; they always add those little speeders. He's not little though; he's straight line speed, but that's what you need. He can take a lot of the pressure off. So I could see him going that route. There's going to be potential backup linemen and all that kind of stuff, but at the tight end position, which they never seem to address. Thoughts on the tight end, and where do you think they could go? And my thoughts. I'll jump back to me on that one.
Well, so I believe it's pronounced so Arroyo from Miami, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of them that's probably right around where they may be if they trade down. Helm from Texas, Fannin Jr. from Bowling Green. That's another one of them.
Limited. He's limited, but his production's not limited. Unbelievable.
For sure. And of course, Cortland Loveland, Warren, those guys are next level kind of talents, right? I think they're both. And then I really like Mitchell Evans from Notre Dame. I think PFN's got him at like 180. So you're talking like 4th, 5th, 6th round. That kind of player. I really like him. So I don't know if they'll go there or not either.
They never do, it seems. And
the resources that they've put into it and the money they've put into it, they almost backed themselves in the corner. I keep coming back to it. They've really backed themselves into a corner.
I want Tyler Warren. Like last year, my ideal pick was Bowers.
I do too.
I would take Tyler Warren in the first round if he's there. He may not be, according to all the mocks, which you can take it or leave it. He's not there, but Bowers, he didn't go that far, but he dropped far enough when we were watching it. They could have got him, moved up and got him.
Oh yeah.
So the guys you mentioned, I'll go outside of that a little bit. Gunnar Helm for Texas, I like a lot. He had big production this year in that offense, and I think he could be a good one. I don't have anything against Loveland and Mason Taylor, who's Jason Taylor's son, we talked about. But they remind me a lot of Gesicki a little bit. And I just don't know that you need that, whereas Warren could do a lot. So you never know. With, all out, could they use a big tight end late? They could. Blocking type of guy. And, that's possible, something they would address. So that kind of hits, on some of the things that we're looking at from an offensive perspective. As we talk about this, I'm hit and miss on this. I go a lot of different ways. But you think they would take offense in the first round?
Do I do. No,
I don't think they would either.
And if they do it, I think they draft a swing guy, someone that can do both guard and tackle, because then you got value, right? If you go guard, they're just not going to do that. They're not going to draft a guard that early, in my opinion.
You shouldn't.
No,
it's Quentin Nelson from several years ago, but most of the time those guys, it's just not. There's guys, they're not that much better than
right.
They're better than what they have by far.
Right.
The Banks guy from Texas, a lot of talk about him, but I don't know. It's a tough one. We'll see. But I think for me, offensively, Genty, they're not going to take him. I doubt that he'll be there. He does remind me a little bit of Barry Sanders when you watch that, like his ability to spin out of stuff and go. I'm not saying he's going to be Barry. Oh, he's smooth. He's a smooth runner. So let's take a look real quick. We'll see if I can get this to work. Yeah, I can. We'll look at this mock draft simulator that Stevie Boy loves so much. I won't tell you what he's done at work the last 3 weeks, but if you're any of your fellow employees are watching, you'll know why work's not getting done. This is it right here. Can you see it?
Gotcha.
Yeah, so you look at, I don't know if you'll let me scroll up, but you can see some of the players, Tyler Warren. I'd be surprised this guy. I don't really agree with their rankings, but it's neither here nor there. So as you look here, though, look, almost all of it's defense, right? That's available. So I could see him in this scenario. I could see him going to James Pierce. He's got his risks. There's some questionable, is he motivated and all that kind of stuff. Personally, I like Green from Marshall better. But there's some issues there off the field. He's denying, of course, he's denying it all. There's millions of dollars on the line, right? But he had issues at Vautech. He left. I don't know. And then his production, maybe he did clean himself up.
Maybe.
I mean, his production, and I don't think it's just the competition. I think he got in shape, started taking things more seriously. He got bigger. He's a freak, dude. I think he would be a great pick there. But of the guys that we just see in the list there, I think Eamon Warrior, Pierce, I could see the one of them going there. Josh Simmons from Ohio State, tackle. I can't see him there. I like Donovan Jackson. He's not on this list. He actually would be on this list if somebody's. I just disagree with these rankings. He played tackle last year for Ohio State after the aforementioned Simmons went down. But even Warrior, it's easy to say that they'd fall in love with his combine. I think people will. Freak athlete. But his production, he played pretty well for them. A lot like Derwin James. Your thoughts on him? And of this list, you'd go Jihad, but outside of Jihad, who would you like there?
I really like Pierce. Going back to what you just asked me, Simmons would be somebody that I would really like there. The injury concern, 5 or 6 games last year. But if you could get a guy like that, you know what I mean? Maybe playing him a guard first year, second year, whatever, see what happens with Orlando. You got to back up, then you still got to swing. But Pierce, just the issues that you might have. Walker probably will not be there. Again, you're talking about a linebacker.
Yeah.
Scrolling down there, if you don't mind.
Quit bossing me, will you? About that.
If you do your damn job.
It won't scroll, dude. So you got to go like this, I think. See who's there offensively.
Offensively.
Yeah. I like Ibuka, but I just don't like Burden too. I like Ibuka better. This running back here, Hamilton, Marion Hamilton, he's going to go top 25. So they got him ranked 35. I don't see that. And then the defensive guys available, as you scroll down here, that's
Tyreek Williams. I mean,
he's not in the first round. Tyreek,
probably
330 pounds or whatever he is.
Yeah,
he was a monster. That line was loaded. Yet, four guys that are going to be playing pro football starting at Ohio State last year. All of them played pretty well. So it's tough though. You can see as it goes on, what can happen. Who can be there. The quarterbacks are going to drive a lot of this, and hopefully, we hope that these quarterbacks go. Shedeur, and I think Shedeur is gone for sure. And I think, obviously the Miami quarterback war. I think
20 go.
Yeah. I think there's a chance, like Jackson Dart, we'll talk about him in a little bit, but I think there's a chance. I don't know if he'll go in the top 16, but you hope he does, right? You want these quarterbacks to go. So let's pick Pearson to see what happens. We're only going to go through 2 rounds here. You can see some of the guys going off. The other Texas A&M edge guys getting a lot of hype here. His production's not there. We talked about him last episode. There's a trade there. So
it's Campbell at 23.
Yeah. Harmon, Tyreek to Buffalo. That Izeriku, I must only did 1 round. That's fine. We'll stop there. But I think Izeriku, see, I kind of like him better than a lot of guys. A lot of guys that everybody's going nuts over. And he's not, we talked about him, his long arms. He reminds me a little bit of Freeney, like I said, and that's how you get.
I see it.
Yeah, his arms are long and he's so quick and explosive. He's not that long guy, but typically the Bengals go for those bigger type of DNs. They always have, Miles Murphy all the way back. What's the guy's name? Dunlap, those kind of guys, the bigger DNs. We'll see how that goes. But
Michael Johnson.
Yeah. So the draft as a whole, we're going to transition this into a little bit of Uncle Terry, and he was happy to listen and hear himself on there. So his opinion is
with his hearing aids.
Yeah, he had both hearing aids in. Everything went well. That was Steve saying that, not me.
Good.
So I think as you look at it, Cam Ward, I think he's going number one. It may not be to the Titans, but I think he's going number one.
And the Titans are smart. That's exactly what they do.
Yeah, I'd trade.
They need a lot of help.
Yeah, I just don't think he's worth it. It's hard to say. The league's different. You can get those guys that run around that really don't play the position the right way. Hurts is one of them, honestly. There's a bunch of them. Like if you make them play quarterback, but can you make them with the rules the way they are?
Right.
You've heard me. I'm not going to get on a rant. But if you're allowed to play football against Mahomes, is he that good?
Good, but not as good as he is.
And they're all that way when you're allowed to hit them when they're running around.
Yeah.
It changes the game. But so Terry thinks that Jackson Dart's the best quarterback in this draft. I think they're all kind of close. I think Ward's the best athlete. Dart showed a lot of heart this year. But if I was Tennessee, I'd trade down and get some picks. And I'm going to rant on Will Levis real quick because I thought he had a shot at being pretty decent watching him. You know what his problem is? It's the Brady Quinn syndrome. Any idea where I'm going with that?
Nope. Go with it.
All he wants to do is stay in the weight room. The dude will eat protein bars. He'll lift all day, every day. But his flexibility and moving his arm through, if you can see me, like you look at Brady and all them, just fluid, smooth. Brady Quinn was tight. You're so tight, it's like a golfer, right?
Yeah.
You can't be that big at that position and be fluid, I don't think. And Levis is jacked, right?
He's a big dude.
But I think it's hurting. He's had a lot of shoulder injuries too. He lifts all the time. But, Callahan, he's safe for now, I think, for sure, probably. And his dad's a heck of a coach too. If you had to bet now, what do you think Tennessee does with that top pick?
I think they use it.
Yeah.
Callahan's he's a quarterback / offense. It's kind of what he does. I think they probably take Ward. I don't see how they can go another year and him save his job without trying to take a quarterback. They didn't do nothing free agents, C-wise, quarterback wise. So, in another year of this, he might have one more year, leash, they just, Tennessee had a pretty good run there. And if you're used to going to the playoffs and, Tannehill did a pretty good job getting them there.
Sure
he played well enough, now you kind of go to where you're 3-4 years of being at the bottom, and I don't care who you are, you ain't gonna last through it.
Yep.
I think they draft Cam Ward and then they just keep trying to build.
Yep.
I can't see him going anyplace else.
Yep. If the GM coach relationship is symbiotic, they're all on the same page. You get together behind closed doors maybe, and you say, hey, we want to make this as long as possible. We draft a quarterback and he's our guy. That extends our life cycle a little bit. Yeah. We didn't have our guy, now we do. So it extends it. And you can't fix bad ownership, right? And they've got bad ownership. Like, I would say 65, 70% of the teams in the league right now, because the change to corporate and all that kind of stuff, are bad owners. You look at Jimmy Haslam in Cleveland, David Tepper in Carolina, he might have changed his ways, but he put him in such a hole. Tepper did, with his just asinine decision-making, right, where he was heavily involved. You look at the Titans, she got rid of the GM, didn't let Vrabel have a say, got another GM, already fired that GM after Vrabel walked, who's won a lot. Vrabel is going to win in New England. Kraft's a pain in the butt, but he won't be with Vrabel, right? That relationship's there. So he's going to get out of the way. Vrabel's going to make him look pretty bad again. So the heat's going to be on. These guys, and women in her case, the ego is, it's bigger ego than Brady or any player you can think of, right? They're rich, and they're filthy rich, and they don't like to be embarrassed in the papers. They don't like, so they, a lot of them have, I don't think Mike Brown cares, honestly, but most of them do, right? So they get rabbit ears. I think to extend that, I could see that happening. Or if they like Shador or something, he moves around. Callahan, like that type. Ward's just a pure athlete, I think, where Shador's more, and Dart too, right? I mean, if you really liked one of those two, could drop down 4 or 5 spots, rake it in, and then get one of them. But it's risky. It depends on how you look at it. So I tend to, Terry's assessment of Dart, I kind of like a little bit. It's tough. We'll go over. I will not pull it up, but if Steve, if you want to go there, we can look at like our lads. I don't know if you ever go to our lads, OURLADS.com, every depth chart of every team. So we're going to break down the AFC North here. We're as you can see, like I mentioned in the opening, we're going to do a little curbed enthusiasm style where we know what we're going to talk about at a top level, but we don't script out and plan everything, nor will we ever do that. That is boring. And before we do that, Steve's band played Saturday night in Ripley, Ohio. It was good. You guys sounded really good. Everything was good, but the drummer lacked a little bit. But outside of that, I thought it was really good. Drummers, but the funny part is, I was there with two friends who are single, right? That are friends of yours. One of them's been friends with you forever. And it started out, as a computer frees up, started out, we're what, 10 minutes into the show, and this is not what typically happens at your show. I'll put the disclaimer. This is not what typically happens at the establishment there. None of this typically happens. Yeah, this was a one-off situation, maybe. But a young lady was pretty much toasted, what, 10 minutes into your show or less?
No, she was there when we were setting up, toasted, brother. She was done.
He started some ruckuses there and about got in a fight, was flirting with another lady's husband, I think.
I believe so.
Was told not to, came back. She's all, I don't know if I'm still on camera flirting now. And it was funny to watch in a way. And I was like, yeah, I'm digging in. Anybody got any popcorn? And I told my buddy, I say, I think you just met your once in a lifetime. That's the one you let her walk out,
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to get you, sucker. You remember that?
He was it.
She was it. I'm going to get you, sucker, where they go in slow motion. This lady's downing 40s, and he's like, the music plays. Oh, that's her. I probably have that wrong, but it's something like that. I'm going to get you, sucker. So anyway, that was a fun night. Good times. We look at the Ravens. I mean, if you had to pick, we'll go in alphabetical order outside of the Bengals. Outside the Bengals, I think you got to say Baltimore's the best team right now. I think Pittsburgh, they don't have a quarterback, right? I guess Rodgers is thrown. We'll talk about that in a second. But what are your thoughts? They're going to be good. What are your thoughts on the Ravens? And F the Ravens. I'll keep it clean.
Yeah. Great coach. Much as I hate to say it. Great organization.
Whiny,
much as I hate to say
tries
it.
about every call, but he is a good coach.
Yeah. That whole division, I just, it makes me sick of my.
Say it.
Yeah.
Say it.
Fucking stomach. It's awful. It's awful. But no, they'll be good. But I seriously think that if the Bengals start out fast, they can compete with not just anybody in the division, anybody in the AFC.
Absolutely.
So the Ravens are going to be right there. Pittsburgh, in my opinion, they, who knows about that situation? That organization, which I love to say this, is not the organization that it was 5 years ago.
Hell no,
it's just not, and I love to say it. Cleveland's shambles as usual. Their cap situation is just awful. I know Garrett's a great player,
He is.
but I mean, locking him up that much longer, having that much more cap. I mean, all the guaranteed money that he's getting, to build the organization back where they need that's not what they need to do. That's not what they need to do. So, Baltimore, super athletic. They'll draft well again. They always draft well. They'll draft defensive well. There'll be players that follow them. You're like, are you shitting me?
It's always a match for them too.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Whether it's defensive line or linebacker or say, you're just like, you gotta be kidding me. Did that just happen?
Yeah.
But when you
do that with Pittsburgh a lot too.
When you have a quarterback, a lot of times those things can happen, right?
Yep.
If Flowers is a player, so I mean they've got offensive talent. They still got a good defense. They're right there. They're right there with the Bengals, and it should be a fun year. But I'm really hoping that they whoop their ass twice. Is what I'm really hoping.
My opinion on Baltimore, and we'll jump to the other team. My opinion on Baltimore is almost the same every year. I never believe in them. At the end of the day, you can go grab another one while I'm talking. At the end of the day, I'm always pretty much right on them, right? You turn him into a quarterback, he can't do it. Like, whoa, we had this month 30 yards. Yeah, he did. And you know when he gets them? When he's running around and he throws to somebody that's as wide open as you are right now. He throws to somebody that's not even covered, right? And what brings that about is his legs. You know what I'm saying? I said that about him and Hurts, especially him. Like, if they're prevented from running past the line of scrimmage, he can't play. You know, that's not the rules. He can run around and he can slide and he can, just like Mahomes, and get his skirt on and dainty out. That's going to make some people happy. Gets his skirt on, tiptoes out of bounds. Nobody touches him. If they can do that all day, which they're allowed to do in today's league, they're hard to beat. You start hitting them, though, which happens in the playoffs. They kind of change the rules a little bit in the playoffs. That team, I just didn't believe in them all year. Their defense, there's holes on it, too. They had a Cheeto. I missed that one. I don't know if you saw that.
I did see that. Didn't like it, but whatever.
And really, you look at, Kyle Hamilton's a big-time player. They made a big deal when they moved him back. He's not. That's why their defense. And you looked at their schedule. Was that the reason? Really? And Derrick Henry, tip of the cap. I thought that was a bad sign. I didn't think he'd do anything. I thought he was done. But again, Lamar opens up so much with those zone reads and stuff. Good luck. Yep. You got to read both of those. You have to. He's a super athlete.
I couldn't imagine trying to defend that.
No, to be fair, I'm banging on Lamar and Mahomes, but when I did the draft guides, I had Lamar ranked high, and I said he was a surefire first rounder, and he should be, because the league's different, right? Doesn't mean I root for him. I root against him because I said, like, in some teams I would have drafted Saquon, and they had 2 picks, draft Saquon and go down and get Lamar. Imagine those two zone read, right? Good luck.
Yeah,
and it would have been, and it is. He's super athlete. And, if he played somewhere else, to be fair, like if he's in the NFC somewhere, maybe I'm
Minnesota.
Probably not. Yeah, I'm probably, and he's fun to watch because we've seen him, and probably it's amazing some of the stuff he does from an athletic standpoint. You got Zay Flowers, Hopkins, the tight ends are good. I just don't think there's not gaping holes anywhere. Gaping holes. There's not anywhere. We'll let that go. But the Bengals, that's the problem. I think top end wise, the Bengals are better than anybody in the division. I don't even think it's close. It's that you have 2 guards that can't play at all, right? That's what gets them. It's just the giant weaknesses there. So I agree with you. He's a heck of a coach, and it's rare that he's going to have a really bad team. So they're going to be right there. Let's talk about the Browns a little bit. I saw today, I think Jimmy and D Haslam he is, if not the worst owner. Well, we took our shot at Lamar, and all this stuff. I couldn't agree more with what you said about Garrett. That's going to be maybe the only time I say that all year.
Fair.
That I agree with you.
That's not true either. It's never, fair or true.
I'm never going to agree with you again, probably, because usually what you say is pretty bad. It's never even close to being right. But Miles is a heck of a player. The only thing I'll say is that what we don't know, this, fan speak is always, they should have traded him. With just that statement, I agree. But we don't know. Was anybody offering anything, or would they? I don't know, man. The asking price would have had to been a lot.
Yeah, it would have been a lot.
And if you're a contending team.
But do you have to ask for that much? If you consider what the future could hold if you do get rid of him, what you could get back for him, plus what you save in cap and cash. Like we like me and you, we don't talk cash that much, but the amount of cash that they spend on him up front, you know what I mean? And not just the one they just signed, what they spent on him, and what have they won with him in his prime? Nothing. And then you go out and spend a bunch of money on Watson, and then what did you win with him at all? Cash. It's just, the organization is just, it's awful.
And speaking like bad ownership, they had a GM, we'll not get into it, John Dorsey, who built that team. Probably made a questionable hire with Kitchens, but they kept Mayfield, kept everything in line there. They might have been pretty damn good, right? But most of the stars outside of Garrett that they had was him bringing them in free agency, and they cut him loose because he didn't bow to ownership, right? We've talked about that.
Yeah.
We'll get into it some other time, but owners now want the yes men coaches. You know what I'm saying? They really do. We'll not talk about Zach or whatever, but they don't want a Parcells anymore because winning is not as important to them as having somebody that does what they want them to do, right? So that's why Belichick's not there right now. Call what you will. And that's why Vrabel had a hard time getting a job. You know?
Yeah, because
He's not going to bow down to anybody, players or otherwise, right?
Yeah.
That's what I like personally. Harbaugh's not that way, right?
Right.
I can't stand him. Both of them. They're
Right.
not going to. They're not. If that's the deal, they're not taking it, right?
No.
So there's not too many of those guys. You got to have clout first of all to be that guy. So I don't know. I think I look at the roster. You know, the linebacker. You know, JOK or whatever they call him. He's a heck of a player. He's always hurt. He's too small. Denzel's still good. Safeties, Newsom. You know, their offensive line's old now. You got Batonio's old. You got DeJuan Jones at left tackle.
Yeah.
Conklin's hurt every year. You know, it just, you know, running back, you know, Chubb's still out there, I believe, right? Nobody's signed him yet. So that's just not they got a shot. You never know. I do think Stefanski's a decent coach, honestly. I think he was delivered a bad hand there. And, you know, maybe it's not fair to say he's delivered a bad hand because maybe he was in on the bad hand.
We don't
know that.
Everybody
will jump on that. Yeah. But he did a good job. I thought he did Baker dirty when they were playing him hurt, but he did a good job with him and some other things. But, you know, I can't, we'll see. You never know what will happen in the draft. But to me, that's got 3, 4, 5 win team all over, right? Maybe even worse, right? But we'll see. You jump to Pittsburgh, and I'll steal what you said a little bit. You know, last year, I like Mike Tomlin as a coach if he was somewhere else, right? Because what we just talked about. But he gets too much credit. I've said this many times, right? Like, oh, he's going to Russell Wilson. Look how good he is here. And everybody jumps on him because they
have no idea if Fields would have been in there, how much
it sank with Wilson.
Yeah.
And Fields at least can run the ball. And he brings some pizzazz to it, right? I mean, sure, the Bengals made Wilson look like a Hall of Famer. He is a Hall of Famer. Made the present day Wilson look like a Hall of Famer. He's bottom half at best quarterback right now, right? He's going to the Giants. I can't imagine. He's not very good, right?
Yeah.
They made him look that way. But, you know, you got Pickens, who's a nut job. And that's under Tomlin's watch.
Yeah.
How many games you give him credit, he always finds a way to make the team pretty good. But when's the last time they won a playoff game? You know, like 8 or 9 years now?
Yeah.
Who else gets that kind of benefit?
If you like being a 500 team, be a Steelers fan.
He's got 1 Super Bowl, and that was with Cowher's players.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to give him credit for the longevity, but they're not big time anymore, right? Everybody wants to treat him that way because we got X amount of rings. Yeah, okay. How long ago was that, right?
Right.
And 4 of them was with Bradshaw. You know, when I was born part of that, right? I mean,
right.
Come on. So I think, you know, their defense is going to be good. You know, TJ, I think he might be falling off a little bit. Queen's still a good player. That Peyton Hillis guy, he's going to be tough.
Yeah.
I liked Peyton Wilson. Peyton Wilson's tough. They brought in Slay. You know, Highsmith's always hurt. You know, Minka's a good player. You're not aware of this probably. When I did podcasts, actually it's a radio appearance. Like I was on the radio. I'll leave him out. I like the guy still. I was on the radio with him, and he set me up. He really set me up. And boy, did I take the bait. And it was a Baker conversation coming in the draft. And then there was another one where it was Derwin James and Minka Fitzpatrick. And I said I would take Derwin any day of the week. It's not even close. And everybody, it's closer than what I said it was going to be. Derwin's still a better player. But the gap's not what I thought it would be, to be fair. But we went at it on live radio. I was pissed, man.
That's hard to believe that you would never argue with anybody.
I know. He got me in there, and I was trying to be friendly. I come on there, hey, I was all happy. And then it started, I was like, what? And then he immediately texted me after that. That's the best shit I've heard in a long time. And I'm sitting there pissed. I'm like, huh. Because people are going to love this. And they did. I was like, I don't want to be that guy, really, though, where he just like Stephen A. Smith, where everything in the world, like, you know, somebody missed a free throw and he talks about it for like 3 hours. Hey, God, Mr. Ring, all this stupid shit. I don't want to be that. But Minka's still a good player. Yeah. He's still a good player. But up front, I mean, Ogunjobi left. That Benton kid's pretty good. But Hayward's old, you know. Now, if they sign Rodgers.
Who knows about that? I mean, maybe the Jets just suck as usual. I mean, who knows? But, I mean, we don't want it. We definitely don't want him to come in and like get this big breath of life, right? To like start over and shit starts clicking. Cause I mean, the schedule's tough enough. The division's tough enough. You already got to play these bastards fucking twice.
Yeah.
It's just, it's aggravating that, you know, that they have to deal with what they got to do with this division, but especially the different styles that they play, you know, here you got this high flying offense and all these other teams want to freaking grind you out. And it's like, no, we want the ball back, which comes back to the defense. And we always talk about with this division and having some meat up front, and that junkyard dog you talked about last episode, getting in there and putting your helmet and face mask and just knocking the shit out of them and say, no, you're not going to do this to us. They've got to do a better job with this division of asserting ourselves, saying, no, you're not going to come in here and beat it down our damn throat. You're not going to do it. But the division is what it is. I mean, we got to deal with it. And
yep, it's tough. And they haven't fared real well.
I hate them all.
They did early in Burrow's career.
They really did. Yeah.
The tough part of that is, and you and I have talked about, we probably talked about everything at some point or another. Not everything, most everything. But
thank God.
You think back to like, it's a tough thing. You lose to Kansas City. You think they're the top dog, and they probably still are to a degree. Buffalo's right there. So we got to beat Kansas City, and you try to build your team that way. Nobody in the division plays that way. You're not even going to get to them. If you don't win, your division's got to be the way to get in. It's not wild card; it's to get there. And you want home field, which we've yet to see. Right? We've seen wild card games. No divisional, no AFC championship with this group. And don't get me started on Zach and Tobin there, because that's another story. But they've got to. This division is probably always going to be this way.
Mm-hmm.
Baltimore's been this way since I can remember.
Me too.
It's always been this way.
Yes.
Cleveland somewhat, I guess. They're still rough, right? They're not good, but they're still physical, right?
Yeah.
And those games are physical.
Chubb made it that way. With his running style and the way when Callahan come there and the style of offensive line, the downhill blocking, that was what he done. So actually him leaving, especially, we may not have seen it as much this year, but as he's gone, you're really going to see that minus Callaway effect really start to come into how good he's a big time coach.
Chubb was a big time player, just as good as Saquon or anybody else, maybe even better when he was at his best. Because what he did was he was, every play. It wasn't a home run. He wasn't going for that. Remember the game we were at, and he just ran all over. How embarrassing was that? As is the Jim.
Yeah, I just threw up in my mouth.
Yeah, that was a rough one. So one final segment here, and then I'll talk about what's up next. As we talk about, it's going to be a tough one, I think. And I didn't prep you for this, but I'll go first and you can go. We'll start with Baltimore. Scott, who's your most hated Raven of all time? And my answer is, who's your most hated Raven? And then who is your most respected, even though you do hate him, wish you was on their team? How's that? That's the two things. So my most hated is Ray Lewis. Fuck that guy. Sorry. Fuck him. I hate that guy. Even to this day. I don't care if he's on the air or whatever. I can't stand that guy. But he was awesome. Yeah. That's one, I'm speaking out of both sides, because if he's on your team, that dude was bad. But the other one is, the guy you don't really like but respect is Ed Reed. That dude, I may be hard to answer anything else what I just answered, but you see Belichick and Brady in the office going over them, they're both just like, man, look at it. Look what he just did there. It's the two greatest of all time at what they do, and they're both like. And then before that game, Belichick comes up to him, "You're awesome, dude." That's before they can play him. Can you imagine being Ed Reed, a player, and that guy's coming up saying you're, it's incredible. But what do you think about Baltimore? Is it a coach? Is it Harbaugh?
No, there's one player, and he's both, and it's Ben Roethlisberger. I couldn't stand the guy.
I'm at each team, but go ahead. You can switch to
each team. Well, Baltimore, it's Ed Reed and Ray Lewis. Pittsburgh is by far probably Roethlisberger and probably Bettis.
Really?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I don't even care about Cleveland. I don't even want to.
Yeah.
But what Ray Lewis done in a different era too, right? At linebacker, and Ed Reed was probably the best center fielder. He could do it all, come up and hit you in the face. He didn't care.
Yeah.
And then Pittsburgh, like I said, Roethlisberger, Bettis, and then Troy Palma. Those guys they were just different players, different era of football. But
I wanted to hate Palomalo, but I don't even know that I hated him. You know what I mean?
I hated them all.
Yeah, I do but I think I'd hate Ray Lewis no matter where he played, as long as he's not on your team. You know what I mean? Just all the theatrics.
Probably.
But Palomalo is just unreal. The stuff he did.
I could say something.
Yeah, you may not.
I may not want to say that, but
and Rod Woodson too, man. That guy I couldn't stand him either.
I didn't like him either.
No. Carnell Lake and was that Greg Lloyd and Kevin Green. Kevin Green, rest in peace, hell of a player. But yeah, they just
this whole segment's made me sick to my stomach.
Yeah, it has me too. It's a bad way to end it. So, but hopefully The fun part of 21 and 22 was beating their ass. Like, oh man, just remember that game where Pittsburgh and then Wink Martindale just lit them up all the way down the field. Like, my thing is they could do that now even. Their defenses aren't that good. You give him time, right? We saw it some games, like the game they lost. I think we were here watching it. So that's kind of how we look at the AFC North. So I'll summarize it, and you can jump in if you want. From all the bad offseason with free agency, which basically did nothing, and everything else, the defense so bad, they're still right there with any of these teams.
They are.
And they're probably more talented. So
Probably.
It's getting fundamentally sound.
Yes.
Which that's where Harbaugh and Tomlin and their organization as a coaching staff is going to kill Zach all the time. Because they're going to be the same every year. They don't go into week 3 like Zach, oh, we got to change our blocking scheme. They might do that a little bit. By and large, they are who they are. And that helps them. Continuity standpoint, right? You bring in some new guy like Burton. Pickens is kind of head case, but the vast majority of the time, they're going to control those guys, right? When Lewis is there, he controlled them all, right? They need that right now. They got to get somebody. And Joe says I just don't think he's wired that way, right? And he's fiery in his own way. But I think, Zach, I think the change in the offensive line coach, and I think Al Golden will change some of that and get these guys on the defensive side, get those guys under control and play fundamentally gap sound football. And Pittsburgh and Baltimore, by and large, are always going to play that way, right? They're just, even when they're not good, they're going to be hard to beat because they're going to be where they're supposed to be and all that kind of jazz. So next up, we're going to hit on I'll try to get a mock draft before then. We'll get a mock draft up and talk about that, right, for the newspaper. And do some other things. We're going to do like a Bengals recap and in the newspaper. And then we're going to talk about some of the defensive side, which that's where we think they'll go. And then we're going to we may do 5 or 6 players, combine our list together that they could pick and just really dig into those guys and maybe talk about some videos we watched and that kind of stuff. So remember, like us, share us, subscribe to us on YouTube, Spotify.
Click the bell.
Click the bell. Click the bell.
I do have one more thing I'd like to say.
Say it.
So at our show from Shuffle the other night, that was a benefit show. I don't know the last number. It was for a 4-year-old child who had kidney cancer. Little boy of a really good friend of mine. He had his kidney taken out almost a month ago. He's doing really good. Just absolutely, I couldn't imagine. Yeah, we raised over $3,500.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah,
that's great.
For almost the last minute. We did it like 3 weeks before. Yeah. We had a bike ride. Bike ride did like $400 or $500. We donated all of our money to them. We had split the pot. We had a raffle. We raffled 10, 15 different items up. We did a Venmo, which that's why I don't know the number because I'm not exactly sure what that Venmo number is. Yep. But almost $3,500 that night.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So it was a good deal. It was fun. We had a great time, and it was for a good cause.
Yep, absolutely. So. Tell them where to find your band, and also thank the establishment had something to do with that, Brookies as well.
Yeah, so Brookies, Darren Brookbank and Ripley. Super good guy, never cares. Anything we ask him to do, he's always been great to us. Anytime, he's always wanted us, play. I played there with different bands. Cool bar, good atmosphere. Shuffle is the name of the band. Facebook, like us. We put all of our events over there. Like I said, mainly Cincinnati area. So a lot of people who maybe listen to us eventually and people around home, come and see us. Travel. Please travel. You're our shuffle heads.
That's right. Road games.
That's right.
And one other comment here. We're a cold weather game today.
Yeah, it's chilly. It's chilly.
Yeah. Got some rain.
And we do this for you.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
you. BTD heads. I don't even know what I don't know how. We'll have to come up with that. Yeah. What is our audience going to be? We got to come up with that. Matter of fact, you guys give us some comments. Yep. What should you guys be called? Drum heads? That's pretty good. The drum heads.
It's not bad.
It's not bad at all.
Not bad. Give us that, and also what kind of tattoos we should get, and if they should be matching.
Yeah. As long as they don't look like the hat that Scott's wearing today, we're in good shape.
Cool hat. I don't care what anybody says.
I don't know whether you're playing croquet or like, I don't even know.
I had a hat like this one time. It was white, and my daughter was like 6 probably. And she said, "You look like a painter." I was like, a painter.
I kind of see that.
That's a pretty good one.
Probably smarter than you already.
Yeah,
at 6.
She's not 6. She's 14.
At 6. Well, she's definitely smarter than you now.
She is smart. That's good for her. She's not well behaved sometimes, but neither is my dog. All right. So what's your final line there, moron? You forgot it.
No, we ain't got there yet.
Let's go. Let's give it.
Slow traffic, stay to the right. BTD podcast. See you guys later.
We out.
See you next time.